So Chapter 11 is about the water-soluble vitamins. Before we get started, I want to make sure that you download or print, whatever you want to do, the vitamin information chart. So in Canvas, under Module 5, you want to look in the assignment section, and we're going to have the vitamin information chart. When you click on that assignment, you will come to the assignment, and you're going to use this vitamin information chart to gather the information about the vitamins. You have three options. You can download the vitamin information chart and edit it using Word or some similar word processing program. Or you could download and print the vitamin information chart and then handwrite the information. Or you can use the annotation feature in Canvas. And whichever way you decide to do it, you're going to upload it, whether it's a Word document or whatever document, or the pictures that you take of your handwritten assignment, you're going to upload that to Canvas. This is a picture of what one side or one page of the vitamin information chart looks like. This one has all the water-soluble vitamins on it, and the other one has, the other side or the next page has the fat-soluble vitamins on it. So for each vitamin, you're going to be listing what other names they have, what their requirements are, and it's either going to be an RDA or an AI, and make sure you know which it is. Chief function. I mean, all of the vitamins have lots of different functions, many functions. We're just going to pick out some of the really important ones. What are some good food sources? And what happens if you are deficient in it? What kind of symptoms will you experience? And then the last column here is what symptoms will you experience if you have a toxic level of them. So the B vitamins, they're critical in energy metabolism, and you're going to see that throughout all of the B vitamins. Without them, we can't make energy. So very important, the B vitamins. They help our body use carbs, proteins, and fats and turn it into energy, as you saw in the energy metabolism chapter. They also assist and work with enzymes, so they're coenzymes, to help release energy. And without that coenzyme, enzymes would not be able to function. So, and just a quick review, the RDAs, that number meets almost all of the population, so 98%. And if it has an AI, just know that more research is needed, and it's almost, it's what we're using right now, but hopefully in the next 10, 15, 20 years, we'll have an RDA for those specific vitamins. So the first vitamin is thiamine. Its alternate name is B1. And I've listed the RDA here for men and for women. So some of the vitamins have, just adults, just one RDA for both men and women, and some break them out between men and women. So this is 1.2 milligrams per day for men, and it's important to know whether it's milligrams or micrograms. So make sure you write the right unit there. And women are 1.1 milligrams per day. And thiamine assists in energy metabolism, so it's necessary for energy. The best source is pork. Other sources, we can get them in whole grains or legumes. And if you are deficient, you might have an enlarged heart or heart failure or some sort of muscle weakness. So, and there are no toxicity symptoms reported. So throughout your textbook, and it's not for each vitamin and mineral, but throughout your textbook, they use this chart. And this chart has all of the same, no matter what vitamin or mineral you're looking at, it has the same foods here. I just want to briefly describe how to read these charts. So, like I said, all of these foods are going to be the same no matter which vitamin you're looking at. Here is the amount in for this particular one. It's micrograms. The bar shows how many micrograms are for each of these foods. So here we have this yellow is the grain group, green is vegetables, I want to say purple is fruits, the blue is milk or milk products group. Here they've broken out the protein group. This top color here, this orangey color, is legumes, nuts, and seeds, and this darker red is meats, poultry, and seafood. So when we're looking at thiamine, we can say that cornflakes has a lot of thiamine in it, and typically that's because thiamine is added. A lot of the B vitamins are added to cereals. Tortillas also have a good chunk of thiamine in them. Down here, they usually list 3, and these 3 down here will change in the different charts, but these are excellent and sometimes unusual sources of that mineral. So here I've already said on the previous slide that pork is probably the most excellent source of thiamine. Soy milk is also good, and squash or acorn. And the one other thing I wanted to point out is they have these highlighted ones, and the highlight means it's the best source per calorie. So if you were going calorie per calorie or calorie for calorie, these would be good sources. So that's how you read the chart. So again, we had pork, we had whole grains, and legumes as good sources of thiamine. The next one is riboflavin, that is also known as B2. The RDA for men is 1.3 milligrams per day, and women are 1.1 milligrams per day, and it too assists in energy metabolism. Good sources are milk and yogurt. I mentioned milk in the last video, and riboflavin. Also, whole grains are a good source of it. Deficiency symptoms, you'll see chelosis, which is the cracking in the corner of the mouth. The picture that is on the screen right now is a good example of chelosis. Not just chapped lips, but actual deep fissures in the corner of the mouth. Glossitis is when the tongue is red or inflamed. So this tongue also kind of looks that way too. There are no toxicity symptoms for riboflavin. And again, riboflavin, as also thiamine, we're talking about the water-soluble vitamins. We rarely see toxicity symptoms because we get rid of whatever we don't need. This is glossitis. It's a swelling of the tongue. It usually could be an unusual color from pink to red, and it looks smooth. So you can see some little dots there for the taste buds, but it looks smooth. So that's glossitis, and that is a deficiency in riboflavin. Here's the riboflavin in selected foods. So again, you're always going to see cornflakes because we put, manufacturers put vitamins in cereal. Good sources here, liver. Liver's an excellent source, as are clams and mushrooms. Niacin, B3 is its alternative, is its number, and their alternative names are nicotinic acid or nicotinamide. The RDA for men is 16 milligrams of niacin equivalents per day, and women are 14 milligrams per day. It also assists in energy metabolism. We find it in meat, poultry, fish, nuts, and whole grains. And deficiency symptoms, if severe, we get pellagra, and pellagra is associated with the 4 Ds, which is diarrhea, dementia, dermatitis, and death. Those are the 4 Ds. It also can produce glossitis. This picture here is dermatitis of pellagra, and it looks like hard, scaly pieces of skin. Some of the toxicity symptoms: niacin flush, it causes a rash or hives, or nausea and vomiting. And here are the niacin food sources. So we have a lot of the good food sources are your proteins, chicken breasts, tuna, excellent sources: liver, peanuts, mushrooms. Biotin is next, also known as B7, and it has an AI, an adequate intake, not an RDA. For adults, we need about 30 micrograms per day. It too assists in energy metabolism. Good sources are egg yolks, liver, and nuts. Deficiency symptoms are neurological disturbances, red scaly rash around the eyes, nose, and mouth. And toxicity symptoms, none are reported. Your book does not provide a biotin and selected foods chart, so we'll move on to pantothenic acid. It's B5. It too has an AI. Adults need about 5 milligrams per day. It assists in energy metabolism. We can find it in beef, poultry, whole grains, and potatoes. The deficiency symptoms are nausea and vomiting, stomach cramps, and no toxicity symptoms are reported. Pyridoxine, B6. We have adults from age 19 to 50. This one it clarifies. 1.3 milligrams per day. It assists in energy metabolism. We find it in meat, fish, poultry, starchy vegetables, non-citrus fruits. Deficiency symptoms are scaly dermatitis, very similar to that other dermatitis we saw. I don't know if you can really see on this picture, but we have it here in the webbing of the fingers. Some very dry, flaky skin. It can cause a type of anemia. And the toxicity symptoms are depression, headaches, and nerve damage. Where do we find pyridoxine or B6? We can find it in bananas are a good source, as is prune juice, bluefish, and acorn squash. Folate. Folate is also known as B9. Other terms you might hear is folic acid or folacin. We do have an RDA. For adults, it's 400 micrograms per day. And it helps with DNA synthesis. So it's really important that women of childbearing age get enough folate in their diet, because it helps create or reproduce or DNA. It also activates B12. Where do we find it? Dark green leafy vegetables, legumes, fruits, and of course fortified cereals. Deficiency symptoms are another type of anemia: confusion, fatigue, irritability, and the toxicity masks a B12 deficiency. So this picture here, the sort of awful to look at, is a infant with spina bifida, and this is one of the things that can happen when we don't get enough folate during pregnancy. It is a neural tube defect. So this is not, this one is probably not treatable. Where do we find folate in selected foods? Lots of your beans and nuts and seeds have them, lentils, asparagus, orange juice. Cobalamin is the last B vitamin. It is B12, and adults need 2.4 micrograms per day. It's an RDA, and its chief function is cell synthesis. So again, very important in the creation of new cells. And it activates folate. So B12 and folate work together. We find cobalamin only in animal products. So people that are vegan, that do not eat any animal products, have to be concerned about their B12 levels. So animal products like meat, milk, fish, poultry. The deficiency symptoms are anemia, fatigue, loss of appetite, and the toxicity symptoms, there are none reported. So that is your last of your B vitamins. We have choline. It is not a vitamin. I want you to be very clear that it is not a vitamin. It's an essential nutrient, and we do have an adequate intake for it. We commonly group it with the B vitamins because its structure looks similar to the B vitamins. It's used to make lecithin and acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter, and those are very important. Lecithin is an emulsifier. We talked about it when we talked about digestion and bile. So our body needs it, though it's not a vitamin. It's essential. We find it in milk, eggs, peanuts, and the lecithin that is in processed foods, which it's in a lot of processed foods. If you don't get enough, you can cause damage to your liver. Pretty much a fatty liver will come about. And toxicity symptoms can create, if you get too much choline, it can create a fishy body odor, excessive sweating, and salivation. That brings us to our last water-soluble vitamin, vitamin C. And the other word for it is ascorbic acid. There's an RDA. Men need 90 milligrams per day. Women need 75 milligrams per day. And if you smoke, you need whatever your RDA is for men or women, plus an additional 35 milligrams per day, because it protects against oxidative damage. So if you smoke, you need more because you are doing damage. Where do we find it? Citrus fruits, of course. If I said, where do we get vitamin C from? I'm sure everyone would say orange juice. So it is a very good source, but so are tomatoes, broccoli, and strawberries that really no one ever talked about. Deficiency symptoms, we can get these pinpoint hemorrhages. That's what that picture is of, these small little bursting blood vessels. You could have joint pain, bleeding gums, and it also impairs wound healing. And toxicity symptoms, if you get too much vitamin C, you could have nausea, diarrhea, and abdominal cramps. Here is the vitamin C in selected foods. So broccoli is highlighted. Broccoli is highlighted. Strawberries are also a good source, of course, and orange is a good source. Red bell pepper. No one ever thinks of red bell pepper when we're talking about vitamin C, but kiwi and Brussels sprouts are also excellent sources of vitamin C. And that concludes our water-soluble vitamins. The next video will be about the 4 fat-soluble vitamins.